Alright, again today we're going to be doing something pretty simple, but there are a few questions made in this. We're going to be replacing the gas tank to the Ninja 250R 2008-2012 edition. You're only going to need a handful of things. One, your gas tank, preferably a bike, and with the addition of hardware, you need your bracket, two 10mm screws to go in with it, preferably a 10mm socket. Extension isn't really necessary, but it's preferable, and or a 10mm box in or open box in wrench. Either one of these will work. It's your choice. So we're going to go ahead and step into this video. Okay, so down on the right side of your bike, there's two things that you're going to need to find, and this is where the confusion comes in. You're going to find on your carbs that on the right side, or sorry, the left side of your bike, you're going to find on one of your carbs coming out is a hose. It's going to have a T-splice in it. One hose is going to continually go up into the front of the bike. Don't worry about that, because that goes into this vacuum line to your air box. So that's one line. The other line that branches off this T is the one you're looking for. Again, it's going to be right here off this manifold. Right here. This one. You know, I can't get any more descriptive on which one is. And off that T, it's going to run back this way. It's right here. Just follow up. It's going to run off. This is the hose you're going to need, guys. Okay? It's not going anything. This is going to go into your fuel petcock. It's where your fuel lever is. You're going to have one opening, and this is what allows your fuel to pump. Your second line you're going to look for basically goes to nothing, but it's a drain hose that runs all the way up. If you didn't take it out, it's still going to be in this little manifold here. Some people don't have it in there. Most people do. It's going to run all the way up to, again, nothing. But it's going to be an open hose. This hose is going to attach to the top of your tank. It's basically a ventilation hose. So, you know, you don't want those fumes running all into your bike or around your bike. But, yeah. Once those are located, move on to the next step. Your next step is coming up to the center of your bike frame, running all the way to this little splice here. It's going to come back and forth. You're going to have these rubber mounts. Do ensure you have these. If they're not on your bike already, you may have either dropped them or they're still inside the mounts down here inside of your gas tank. So look for those. If you don't have those, your gas tank can't be properly mounted, and you're going to have some problems. Okay, so once you got these on, you can go ahead and, again, move on. Next step. Before I get to that, this is what they look like if you did lose them. And if you do lose one of these, you can use the rubber end on the bottom of a crutch, the little rubber pieces. I just cut it down. It works. These are the actual OEM ones, but if you were just wondering. Alright, so your next step is going to be to find this line. It's going to be more on the left side of the bike, just over the carbs. It's going to have a green cable and a black cable with the yellow line. It's just two-prong, can only go in one way. You're going to want to put that onto your tank. Here's the cord to your tank coming down. It'll be in the back. It's going to come down to a green plug. Again, it itself is going to have a green cord and a black cord with a yellow line. Again, it can only go on one way. Just clip them together once you get the tank on, and we'll move on to putting on this tank now. Alright, so when placing on your tank, you want to go ahead and find your hose if you don't already have it on here, and you're going to want it to attach to this front port, not this back port. Get this focused here for you. You're going to want to have your main fuel line attached to this front port. Your vacuum line, which I'll get to in a second, is going to want to attach to this back port. So fuel line comes down, first port. This one is going to run down. You're going to attach it to this black piece here. Again, your cords will be connected, but first things first, you're going to want to line your tank up on your center frame rail and get a knob right onto these knobs. So just move it forward. You are going to have to lift the tank up a little bit as you slide up. And it should be able to just set in place now. In the back, it's going to have your holes line up. You're going to have 2 secondary holes under here. Once those are all in, you're good to go. So, down here, like I was saying before, that little vacuum line you got that we pulled at the beginning of the video, you're going to have to run this all behind all these wires and tubes and come in through the back. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. It's not too difficult. You can get in just under your tank. You know, if you got smaller hands, maybe ask your wife or your girl or your ex, just deal with the trouble. Alright. Now once you got your vacuum line on, you're going to go ahead and move on to your fuel line. Your fuel line is going to come around. It's probably the thickest hose coming off your tank. And you're going to preferably run it behind this tube. Again, just lift your tank and run it through. It's not too difficult. Okay, so here I am. I went ahead and just lifted the tank and ran it through real quick. It only takes a second. You only have your one thick hose hanging down, and on the carb you're going to see this little black prong hanging off. Now you're going to want to come behind this drainage hose and just line it right on there. I know I need new clips. And go ahead and move your clip on. Once that's all on, your tubes are done. Last thing you got here is to take this green plug and attach it to that white plug. Again, put something under your tank to hold it up. It's pretty difficult to do with one hand. Preferably work from the right side of the bike. Alright, so once your tank's on, go ahead and place your bracket on and get your screws on. These screws aren't to be over tightened. Just give them a nice snug, pull when you get them down. Again, this bracket does only go one way. It has a little cave-in area. Where it caves in is where you want to go ahead and face towards the tank. The rised up in, I'll show you here, will be the position that it needs to be in. Once you get all that situated, you're done. So the tank is on, technically, but this drainage line I was telling you about, you're gonna have this white piece up here. I don't have mine on all the way, and this drainage line goes onto this fitting. Once that's on there, you can go ahead and turn your fuel on, do what you need to do. And for those of you that may or may not know, Just a quick heads up. On does not mean on this bike. Okay, when you turn this to the on position, it may either lightly trickle fluid or trickle no fluid at all. It's not supposed to trickle any. This is actually for winter use. Why they don't have an off here does not make sense to me. It's to cut your fuel off so it doesn't gum up your carbs when you drain them out over the winter. But when you turn your fuel on, you're going to turn it to primary, P-R-I. And once it's on here, then it's actually on. It's actually free flowing. So on is off, primary is on. If that makes any sense. Like, subscribe, dislike, comment. Do please comment. And hope this helped anybody out. If it did, great. If it didn't, well, move on to the next video.